Slight technical problems. I forgot to add myself. I added something else. Hello, cool gamer. Hey, Beatlemaniac. Good to see you. In honor of playoff weekend, I have got my Buffalo Bills background going on. Go Bills. So how's everybody's Wednesday? All week I keep thinking it's Thursday, but I made this really cool intro. I just don't know how to get it over here from Canva. Hey, Izzy Girl 361. Hey, Amber. So one moment. Let me just tell my child to shh. Okay. Hey, Gladys. So how was everybody's Wednesday? It was crazy, let me tell you. Hey, SA. Hey, Liberty Farmer. Look, my mom might pop in here. She kind of just found out like I had a YouTube channel. Somehow we just started talking about it. And so they've been following the Idaho 4 case. So be nice to me. Hey, Lady Sandy. So yeah, busy meetings. I hear you, Gladys. But yeah, I had a dream last night that I got a flat tire, and then I got a flat tire today. So it was really weird. I'm hoping that like I'll dream I won the lottery tonight and I'll win the lottery. So we'll see. All right, lots of stuff to go over. So you know how I always like to do like these discussion things, but I also want to. Hey, Remy. Folding. Oh, Remy, I'm so far behind in laundry, but I want to discuss like we always do, but let's kind of go back to the beginning a little bit as well. But there are some things I want to show you. So I can't wait. Okay, Remy. So it's my understanding that his apartment search warrant has been sealed. So, oh, thanks, Lady Sandy. I want to say that is not uncommon. So people said it's not uncommon, I guess, because it was actually filed like the 30th or something, which is the day he got arrested. I know, right, Remy? I don't know what they found, but do I think they probably found some things? Well, I do. I mean, I think the guy's a little bit, well, we know what he is. I don't think that, like, it's hard to say. I don't know. It's hard to say. Would he be that? Yeah, so it will be released February 1st now. Okay, originally I thought it was March 1st, but I think you're probably right. It's February. So do I think he'd be that stupid to leave things behind? I didn't think so. I am at a standstill, and I'll tell you why. So an FBI profiler I read today, and I'm going to read you what she said, and it actually does kind of make sense. Now, one thing we need to remember that I am like, okay, whatever, is that he says that, so they found that big thing he had written when he's 15, right? So apparently he wrote this thing that's called He Has Visual Snow. I got to be honest, y'all. Somebody's going to have to remind me what it is because I meant to look it up beforehand. It isn't something that's like, let me look up with a definition because I'm having a hard time understanding what it is. I've heard people say that it can lead to schizophrenia. I don't know. Let me see what it is. I'm sure you all already know it. Yep. So it's a form of hallucination that is characterized by the perception of small, bilateral, simultaneous, diffuse, blah, 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 blah. Oh. So it's like with your eyes. Like, okay. So it's hallucinations to a sort. Got you, Liberty. And so then people have said it can lead or be a symptom of schizophrenia. Now, I remember talking to people who had late adolescent onset, like schizophrenia, and they said he does not, like, from his past and stuff and in this writing, it doesn't necessarily sound like that was the path he was on. But to be quite honest, I don't think maybe he's schizophrenic, but I don't think that's why he did what he did. So I will say this FBI, she was I forgot what they called her. She was a forensic psychiatrist. And she said that, so we know about the drug use. Hold on, let me see what she said. Okay, so it's Carol Lieberman. She said that He studied the criminal mind after studying psychology. Remember, Ted Bundy was a psychology major as well, because he was trying to understand himself. Dr. Lieberman said, the more they get rejected, the more low self-esteem they develop, the more anger they develop. The stabbings were what Dr. Lieberman calls a rage killing. That is why he wasn't really able to keep track of things, his DNA and the knife sheath, as well as he knew too from his studies. Now that, Lieberman goes on to say, he wanted to be a notorious killer, just like he was reading about in classes. Now that made more sense to me. Emma's first husband was schizophrenic and died in 40. Oh, wow, Remy. So that actually makes a lot of sense to me, because I don't know. I cannot figure out, is he playing a game of chess? I do think he was infatuated with Bundy. Now, people keep saying, well, he didn't do everything like Bundy. And I know that. But see, he didn't want to be like Bundy. He's very arrogant. He wanted to be one up, one better than Bundy. Like, we know he took risks. I don't necessarily know that he came back at 9 o'clock the next day for that knife sheath. I think he came back because he's that arrogant. And several psychologists have said that he is very arrogant. We know that based on what almost all of his classmates say. That we're not talking about this timid guy, right? So people keep thinking that he's just like this timid guy. We're picturing in our head, it's a good question, Sandy, like most psychopaths that we know. Okay, think of Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was not a timid guy. Ted Bundy was very outgoing. Hold on, let me see. I have a friend that I've known since high school. He was schizophrenic, manic depression, and bipolar. Oh, wow, Izzy. Hey, rebellious. Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, hey, we all have bad things. You know, I have mental disorders, like things like that. Look, there's ways many people function without killing people. But he was not. Everyone that knows him, including the neighbors in his apartment. Hey, S. Hockett says that he actually was almost hey, Lucia, talkative to a annoying point sometimes. His classmates said he was the first one to introduce himself, the first one to mingle around the room. Very extroverted, in my opinion, from what we've heard. The Tinder date, somebody tell me, I have not looked into that. Do we think it's true or false, the Tinder date that it happened? Because it's very hard. We've got people coming out of the woodwork, as happens with every case. Exactly, Remy. He was outgoing. People said he treated them like he was beneath them. Yeah, I don't know, Liberty. I don't necessarily think I do too. Because I think one of the reasons perhaps that he didn't have a girlfriend is because he just thinks he's too good for everybody. Oh, really, Liberty? Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh my gosh, Remy. Like, I think he went back to, right, exactly, he's very condescending. They said he was, in his grading, he was harsh. And I mean, I know we've all had harsh graders, right? But it wasn't like a harsh grading, like, I know you could do better than this. Like, he just treated everybody like they were stupid. And I think when he came back to that murder site the next day, for him, it was pure adrenaline rush. Maybe I'm wrong. It's happened before. Maybe he was coming back to get the sheath and he chickened out. But I got to tell you, we're talking about a guy who went to the store, he carried on with his life. Almost all of Moscow canceled going to classes. They canceled all appointments because no one wanted to go out. But Bryan heads to his doctor's appointment on the 17th, and everyone that's seen him says he didn't act a thing different. I don't think that this is a guy that chickens out of anything. He'd be used to the medical to say someone had a heart attack. True, Remy. That is very curious. Now, I will say, there's the Daily Mail. Okay, I used to think they were somewhat okay, but they have just, Kate says they're the Daily Fail lately, and they are. They had images of like his dad and stuff, vacuuming up glass and stuff. And, of course, everybody's saying, well, he looks exhausted or he doesn't look emotional or whatever. Like, we have no proof that the parents did anything. That poor guy, his whole life changed the night of December 30th when they busted into his window and stuff. He's just out trying to vacuum up glass out of his driveway. You wanted to see this? Exactly, Izzy, exactly. Oh, I know, Sandy. I haven't even had a chance to look at the Anna, what is it, Anna Welsh? I can't remember her last name case yet, but I definitely want to look into that one. Exactly. Your family's in shock. I mean, we watched. So there was interesting thing that one of the subs of Queens pointed out, and I thought this was a fantastic point. I can't find the picture. I know, right? You know what, Liberty? That's a good point. The Laundry family kind of ruined us for having grace with other families. Like when the cop pulled him over, it was like his dad's talking about the mass shooting and all this stuff. So when Bryan, that's what I was going to ask you. When Bryan says, and we can watch it, gets pulled over, his dad mentions the shooting. And now there's conflicting statements. The dad mentions a mass shooting that happened at WSU, which I don't remember, but obviously it probably did. And at some point in this conversation with the police officer, Bryan mentions something like it being a shame what happened to those people or something, those kids. I thought he was referring to the shooting, but some people say he was referring to the what happened to the girls. Does anybody remember that? Because there's several news articles saying that he was referring what happened to the girls, but I thought he was referring to what happened to the shooting. Exactly, Remy. Whenever you see, you're right. So I didn't know if anyone could remember that. If not, I'll play it. Because I thought for sure it was in reference to the shooting. I didn't remember the officer bringing it up, the girls and Ethan. But so I do think I will say it was weird. I didn't understand why he brought up the shooting at all. Does anybody? Oh, there was? Oh, okay. Okay, Liberty. Oh, really, Remy? That's weird. Okay, yeah, as Hackett, that's what I thought. There's several articles that were like, well, Bryan mentions the girls in the thing, and I was like, I don't think he was talking about the girls. I do think he was a little nervous. As much as arrogant as he is, I do think in those body cams, after I've watched him a couple times, he was a little bit like, I think Dad was talking more than he wanted him to talk. Either do I. I think legitimately his parents' whole world, I can't even imagine, just changed in that moment. Until I hear otherwise, I don't think his dad would have talked as much as he did if he knew anything, you know? And I know everybody says, well, that was a long car ride. I agree it was a long car ride. But we're thinking with normal or semi-normal minds. We're not thinking of the minds of a psychopath or a sociopath who can carry on a conversation and go to a medical appointment 2 days after when the entire like towns are shut down, and he carries on like nothing. Oh, thanks, Jane. So one point I wanted to make was there's a sub that made a point when you walk up, the cop walks up to Bryan's car. It's very, 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 very dirty. And, okay, my car's really dirty too. But the sub said he doesn't have OCD with the door like that. And I didn't understand. But they went on to explain that Typically, if you have OCD, no problem, pointer lover. I agree, S. Hockett. If you have OCD, you like, I mean, you want things clean, I guess, or like the dirt on the side of the door and kind of how messed up it was. He said that they don't believe that he had OCD if he could have left that. And that's what, that's to Liberty. He was driving across, so he could have, just been dirty because of that. And that's a really good point, S. Hockett. So we know he gets to Pennsylvania. Exactly, Izzy. That's exactly what. Yeah, exactly. His dad would not have been like, "Well, there was a shooting and all," if his son just. Um. So he goes to Pennsylvania and decides then he's going to clean the car, and cleans it thoroughly with surgical gloves. Those are the things that I don't understand. The only thing I can think of in that case is he truly didn't think they had any idea whose car they were after. Now, the police did a fantastic job. I mean, fantastic when it comes to, they knew in Pennsylvania, you don't need a front license plate. The night of the murders, the guy didn't have a front license plate. And then 5 days later, or whatever, 3 days later, Bryan gets them changed. But in Washington and in Idaho, you have to. So, I mean, he might have thought, you know what, they really got a good view on that car. I am getting a little nervous. So it's, yeah, rebellious. I did at first too, but then a couple people reminded me oh, really, Remy? Okay. It's not that uncommon. And it's true. Like if you're going on a cross country trip and you want to stay awake, it's really not that common for safety purposes to have a parent or a friend fly out and keep you company. And drive across with you. Now, they said they took some different route. Why they did that, I don't know. But I wanted to show you a couple things. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say before I show you these things is I know Kaylee's family's lawyer issued a statement saying that the girls do not know, there was no connection, that Bryan didn't know the girls. Here's the deal. I don't think it's true. Well, I don't think that they can accurately say, because look, we were all in college. My mom doesn't know all my friends. My parents don't know all my friends. And I'm 40. I just aged myself a lot. Those girls had so many friends and so many people in and out of their home. There's no way they could have known everybody. And Ethan's parents, I don't think they know very much about Ethan's friends and stuff, because Ethan's parents have been extremely quiet. They did that one huge interview where they said that they were doing the interview because it was with somebody local, and they don't want anyone speaking for Ethan but them. Exactly, Remy. Exactly, pointer lover. I think that they knew him. Do I think that they were best friends with him? No, probably not. I agree with a psychologist. I think that at some point they embarrassed him, or one of them embarrassed him, or one of them rejected him, and that was it for him. Oh, I know, Beatlemaniac. So let me talk about the Coug, okay? So I've been talking to a few locals, and I want to tell you something. I love, even if they're correcting me, I love when somebody from the area comments or comes in here, because I'll tell you why. Like, it's great for us to know on social media. We can sleuth all we want, but it's very interesting to hear perspective from people that, no, I'm not talking Betty Bullhorn. I mean, people that actually live there and have grown up there. Exactly, pointer lover. And so a couple locals commented last night on one of my videos that we're going to watch, and they said that the Coug. So let's talk about the Coug. The Coug is directly next to Kappa Alpha Theta, which, if you remember correctly, I told you was Xana's sister's sorority. Interestingly enough, it's also the sorority Okay, at Washington University, not Washington State, at that same fraternity, Ted Bundy murdered one of the sorority sisters. So the WSU version of that is where Xana's sister is a part of it, has been for years. Directly next to that is a bar that's called the Kook. It's a massive, massive college bar. All right. It so happens to be less than a mile, and we'll see in a second, from Bryan's apartment. But what one of the locals explained to me is that everything feels close there because of it being a college town, but more so that it was a very young crowd at the Coug, more like undergraduate age, but that it is very common that the staff and like the, teaching assistants, the graduate students would go to Moscow because that was where the older crowd would hang out. But in fairness, let's go over a few things. Let's take a look at some visuals. And I know there's so many other cases, and I'm going to get on to Anna, but this just, I think because his brain, I can't figure out what he's doing. I can't figure out so let's just look at this quick. So here is the Coug. Whoops, why can I not? All right, so you can see the Coug is way down at the bottom. And then over there at Steptoe Village is where Bryan's place is, his apartment. I will say it is only 0.69 miles. But again, according to this local, it's, everything's pretty close. There's a lot of hills and things like that you have to factor in. But I want to share with you something else. I got to get back to you. Timeline. You guys can help me with this too. We have to break this down. All right. I was arguing with somebody on Twitter. Not arguing because I just blocked them because there's no sense of arguing sometimes with people that won't try to have a conversation and just tell you what, They were saying that the police said there was 2 phones. That it is not what I have read. The affidavit clearly states that on June 23rd in 2022, the number with the ends of 8458 was opened an account to Bryan in Pennsylvania. Did I miss something? That there's the second phone that's been revealed or something? So I don't think so. Yep, exactly, Remy. Exactly. I said that last night to somebody on Facebook. They said, well, it's impossible. This couldn't have happened this way because DoorDash came at about 4 a.m. and Bryan drove in at 4:04. No. They said about 4 a.m. Yeah, thank you, Pointer Lover. Ellie has never said that. I think the Daily Fail or one of those, the Sun or one of those said there was 2 phones. So this person was adamant, and I was trying to point to the affidavit. I was like, we have to make sure we just go on that. We can't just factual things that we see. So the girls left for school. Kaylee came back on, that's a good point, Risk. We're going to get to that. Yes, Ava. So that's fair enough. Possibility. Jane, I believe Xana herself did, but I don't know. So girls leave from college. Apparently Kaylee came back to a bar. I think it was a Coug at some point in June. But let's say Bryan doesn't get there. Okay, probably till end of July or August. I do know Maddie was in an internship and didn't even leave her internship until the beginning of August because there was pictures of her leaving that either job or internship. So, and then on August 13th, Bethany comments to Maddie, I miss you so much. Can't wait to see you soon. Fast forward to August 16th. All the girls come back together. There's a picture that says meet the roommates. So and we know that Bryan started stalking them August 21st. So somewhere between August 16th and August 21st, he met them and must have instantly thought, that's them. But you know what's the fascinating part? For the life of me, you all, I cannot track down any of their steps that entire week, which makes me think that that's all been cleaned up because it wasn't that week. His apartment, I don't know if it's because they needed a warrant or what. Was the door actually open for the DoorDash? That's a good question. So risk, I don't know, Remy. So it doesn't say if he got there in June. All I know is that he opened that phone in Albrightsville, or however you say it, Pennsylvania, on June 23rd. When he came after that, I don't know. And does that mean he couldn't have met one of those girls at that time? I mean, anything's possible. But I will say, where did I just accidentally X off of you guys? Okay, I don't know. Let me go to my email and pull up some of the pictures that go along with this. So there is one interesting thing, is I have to find the picture. At some point, I see the Jack in the Box, which is where she got allegedly from the DoorDash, the bag on the back of the sink. But I thought it was on the table. So that's what I'm confused about. Can law enforcement move things? Or here's what I wanted to show you. I know that I don't know, Risk. They've never said. So I did not realize, I guess when I assumed originally that when the DoorDash came, it meant that the DoorDash came to the sliding glass door, but it didn't. It came to the front door. That's where they had their DoorDash and everything. It is, Remy. There's a point. I'm going to show you something, Remy. There's a point where, yes, that stuff's moved. Oh, really, Ava? Okay, so that makes, June 25th. That would make actually sense time-wise. So if the DoorDash came to the bottom floor and Xana went and got it downstairs, it would have been an absolutely perfect time, because if you remember, he came from, that's what I was doing, showing you this, from around to the woods, right? Did they ever really clarify that 100%? Well, first let me show you this. So this picture, y'all, is Kaylee at the Coug. So how often they went there, I don't know. When this picture was taken, I don't know. But I will say one of the locals did make it clear that it is not unheard of, but it was just not a very likely place for some of the older people. You would almost not fit in there if you went there. Kaylee worked at a coffee shop, and this is why I want to figure out what coffee shop. Oh, 100% Risk. And I wonder if that's why they've left it out. It's totally important to know time-wise whether she ate the food or not. So he came from this area, which might make sense why the dog barked, because around 4:17 when he was leaving. Because if you see here, I think the way he would have walked up the hill, see, this is Kaylee's bedroom, I think. If he was coming up here and the dog sensed him or something, maybe that's why he barked. But I do think he took the opportunity when DoorDash came and Xana went downstairs. I do wonder if he slipped up through there. But then that's when people said that's not possible, because The DoorDash was at approximately 4. You know, they would have come at the same time, but it's not. It says approximately 4. If DoorDash delivered to the door and left it there and then left, then yes, it would have been, right? I 100%, Remy, I actually think you're onto something. The more that I read and start to realize the DoorDash thing, where I'm thinking too much literally as far as in time, because it is, we know the Jack in the Box bag made it to the kitchen. It's entirely, hey, Savannah, entirely possible. He was upstairs. Kaylee started walking back to the room to say, hey, Ethan, somebody's here. That's why it was so well heard. And he came down after that and basically, yeah. That'd be interesting, Remy, if they found any. Ava, you're right, because I did not know, but somebody found, this was, oh, they did, Remy. And that's the thing, y'all. He wasn't scared. I don't think he was scared enough to come back and get the knife sheath. He was mad because people were parked and whatever. He kept driving by the house. But he was bold enough. Well, he's bold enough to do it to begin with. But he was bold enough to, like, I don't know, risk being seen. So somebody said that, what other pictures I got here? Oh, so this was Xana, apparently. Kaylee helped her list this on the marketplace to sell a mattress. So people are saying, like, this, you know, if you put this, it says Xana's room had one window per her marketplace listing. Her headboard was against the window. The opposite wall is where the blood leak. Most likely she fought for her life and died. You know, I don't know how much of a fight. I know that she, oh, so look at, y'all can see the plant up there on the windowsill. That's not where we see it after the crime has occurred. It has been dumped. What else I got here for you? Is this the one I just showed you? Yep, it is. Okay, did I literally just send the same pictures over again? I definitely did. Yeah, it's very possible, Savannah. Hey, Salem. Yep. I agree, Remy. Oh, really, Remy? I'll have to look. Where did I put those? There were some other things I found interesting. I don't get the vibe that he was scared and that's why he came back with a knife sheath. So what they're talking about as far as the, what am I doing? As far as them talking about the apartment and what they found in the apartment, I really believe it's standard that that's the reason it's sealed. Now, I have heard rumor that people are saying that he has said, like, creepy things about the girls, like, not, he's acknowledged it, not that he did anything, obviously, but I can't remember. Somebody said something. Oh, I was going to watch Alex's video. Does anyone, she won't strike me. One of the mods, can you? Oh, really, SA? I would not, I wouldn't think that was too far-fetched, to be honest. But y'all, oh, coffee place. Wow, Parker, get back on track. Remember when he goes to Albertsons, he drives past Kate's Cup of Joe? Okay. I remember one of his classmates saying that Bryan was tired all the time. Well, we know why, because he was stalking the girls, and that he would never come to class or go anywhere without coffee. But, you know, there's a million coffee shops. And then I still was firmly believing it was possibly the Mad Greek, but then somebody said that, is it Remy? Wouldn't that just be a screw you? Maybe he was not even there to go to Albertson. He was there. Dutch Brothers? Okay. That's what I thought at first, Ava. Oh, people said, really, Lady Sandy? Oh, yeah, S. Hockett. There's also a 3-hour point period in the affidavit from like 5:30 to 8:30 at night where his phone goes off and out of the network again, somewhere near Johnson, Idaho. Some people have said that the Mad Greek came forward and said he's never been in that restaurant. I've only seen the corner bar that came forward and said that he's never been in that restaurant or bar. But if the Mad Greek came forward and said that, well, then I'm lost because I don't know where the heck he could have met them. That's 100% true, Remy. I will need some hard factual proof that this was random, that he just decided, you know what, I'm going to pick a street. I'm going to go there 12 different times. Okay, Ava, so it was more like a we don't recognize him, not necessarily like he's never been here type of thing. That's what I think, Savannah. I know, we have to remember that week before school happens is like when all the events happen because the sororities and fraternities come back. They're preparing for, whatever, the new members to come in, and kids are finally coming back. And so there's events and parties all week long. So it's 100% sure, possible that he stumbled on them that week. Exactly, Risk. But it's hard for me to put him at a party with them because of the age gap. Like, I know that there was older people I don't know. It just, with him being as arrogant and with him talking down to other, kids that age and stuff, it just is hard for me to put him at a party. But I'm also putting psychopath Bryan at a party. Like, I need to think maybe he wasn't, we do know he was pretty extrovert. Yeah, S. Hockett, something caught his eye for whatever sick, twisted game that he's been preparing for years. I believe with everything in me that he chose where he chose on purpose, that school. That, do you know how many criminal justice, criminology? Cheryl, absolutely. And now there's the horrible thing, which I hate. Yeah, and it's not like they were hidden on social media for sure. So look, all he has to do is see one of them one time, say, hey, who is that girl? Blah, blah, blah. Starts looking up social media. They're everywhere on social media. I mean, yeah. That's possible too, S. Hockett. Yeah, Maddie did, for sure, Risk. I think it's awful. Some people are saying that the reason that they're exactly SA, the reason that his apartment, some of these theories, is being, the search warrant is hidden is because Maddie was an OnlyFans stripper, or Kaylee was, like, are you kidding me right now, y'all? Like, maybe she had an OnlyFans. I don't know. He just doesn't strike me as the I'm going to hop on OnlyFans. Everyone was beneath this guy. That's why he couldn't have a girlfriend. I think that's why we don't hear from anybody right now. Like Les was saying, we hear from almost nobody other than a couple class, people that are speaking out that were like, yeah, he was all right. It's kind of annoying. He was always talking for a long, long time and stuff. Guys like him, narcissistic psychopaths or sociopaths, talk all the time because they feel like they're the only one worthy of talking. Yeah, Pointer Lover. I mean, Punkette has an ankle OnlyFans account. We joke about like it's okay. Yeah, SA, I know. Exactly, Amber. We know he's been planning this a really long time. Cheryl, I'm with you, Cheryl. Guys, I'm going to be, and I'm not saying this bad or good, but I think that he didn't like girls in that way, to be quite honest. I think he fought a battle or something. I think he raged out with girls and despised women. 100%, Remy. I mean, this guy thought he was everything, and all it takes is one of those girls, which, look, they're 21-year-old girls who were partying all the time that they were in school. All it takes is one of those girls to say one thing that embarrasses him. True, Lady Sandy. If he liked anyone, he wouldn't have put his parents in this situation that he did. Crybaby, that's interesting, Rebellious. Pointer lover, what do you get your head bit off for? For saying you didn't like girls? Why is that bad? There's nothing bad about it, but look, for some insane reason, he took it to a whole nother level. And that's possible too. We can't like keep these things out and bite your head off over something like that. Like, I talked to Jax is the one that like talked to me about it, and possibly essay. That's ridiculous, Pointer Lover. I don't see anything bad about saying that. I mean, possible, Cheryl. I guess for me, yeah. I guess I don't know. It's not a bad thing. I don't know. I mean, you have to look at every angle because we've assumed that it was the girls he was after. Now, I still do think it was probably one of those girls, but could it have possibly been Ethan? It's 100% possible. For whatever reason, he talked to Xana. Okay? He didn't have to say anything. He talked to Xana. Even if she woke up or was awake, y'all, he didn't have to say anything. But he did. And that makes me wonder if she knew who he was. Exactly, Remy. So yeah, you've got to think of it in that mindset. We're not saying that he did it because he was homosexual or bisexual or whatever. We're saying we have to look at an angle that might involve that being part of his disgust for something, like exactly, Ava. Very, very true. But you have to, I know, right? I say you have to look at all angles. Yeah, Savannah. I mean, this just hit me. He talked to Xana. He didn't have to. He didn't have to. I think so too, Remy. I think that that was shortly before we heard the thud, and I think either he tricked her or just was totally. That's what gets me the most is I think he was screwing with her head, and so he like pretended he was going to help her and then stabbed her one last time, or he said that, left, and then she was getting up to try to get help or something. I don't think. Excuse me. I know S-Hocket, but I have to say something. The Daily Fail taking pictures of the alleged Dylan, which I got to tell you, I looked at him, I don't see it at all, is disgusting. Just leave her alone. Just leave her alone, or another person is going to get hurt because I could not take what's going on right now. I could not take, I mean, the FBI had to say, like, hey, everybody chill out a little bit because, well, I mean, you kind of did throw her under the bus, but, like, stalking the girl when she's out running, like, freaking leave her alone, okay? Or somebody else is going to get hurt because I could not deal with what she's dealing with. Oh, possible, Savannah. Yeah. She is. And I was just talking to my mom that tonight. My mom. Yes, I was just talking to my mom about this tonight at a basketball game. And I was just saying, I know it doesn't make sense to my human brain now, but I'm thinking if I'm in the house and I see a guy, I want to believe in my head I'd be like charging out and tackle him and all would be well and I'd save all my roommates' lives and all this stuff. But I got to be honest, if I'm that terrified, I don't know if I would call 911 or if I would just completely freeze and curl up and pass out because I'd been drinking until the next day when my roommate alerts me or something to come out. Like, I don't know if I would. And I want to say I would, but I just don't know if I would. No, I don't think it was Ethan rebellious. And I think the reason it wasn't Ethan is because I think that Dylan would have recognized his voice, but maybe not. She did open the door 3 times, but I think it's also really hard because we don't know how far she opened the door and stuff. The bottom line at the end of the day is I don't even know. That's exactly, Remy. I don't know, like, what she went through in that moment. We know, at least from what we've heard, and this was actually said way before law enforcement, like Kaylee's dad said it and stuff, that one of the girls passed out. We can assume it was Dylan, and Bethany was hyperventilating. I had heard that before as well. I don't fully understand it all, but I know that I'm not the one that has to live the rest of my life like that. She is, and I just, her friends, I don't think her friends would want that. Exactly, Cheryl. And I actually think y'all I don't necessarily think that any would have survived to, I mean, yeah, I don't think they were pretty bad. I think, and it's hard to think, well, how did none of them really give this guy a run for their money? But we're forgetting they had been partying all night long. All night long. Like, it's hard enough to even like focus on one item when you've been partying all night long. Exactly, Pointer Lover. That's the other thing is that Kaylee's dad had said is you all don't know everything yet, like, that went on. So there are things that will come out that are going to like make it make sense and shock you a little bit. And so that's what I'm trusting. I think that's what it was, Remy. I think she passed out. I truly believe that. I had 5 roommates in college. Once I came home to a dude pet. Right? Exactly, SA. Exactly, Sandy. Exactly. And like I said, Kate said it. I said there's things that don't make sense, but you will never hear us. I hear a cryptid perspective. Oh no, that's punkette, y'all. But you will never hear me come down on her or ever say that any of those kids would be alive if she had called 911, because I don't think we can say that. And exactly, I think once we hear the full story, but freaking sitting outside of her home, waiting, and I don't even think it was Dylan. Most people are like, that wasn't Dylan. Taking photos of this girl, like, do we want Oh, I get really, I get heated up about that stuff because we don't ever want to see more people get hurt. And she's 20, 21 years old? So the knife, let's talk about the knife. Is it military grade, Remy? So the knife, some people were saying you could buy on Amazon, but I don't necessarily know. I didn't know there's different grades of the knife. So we're talking now that the knife could be if it's military grade, then that's a whole different thing. Because if you remember, Bryan wanted to join some big Navy SEAL type thing. So he was in some military program in high school. We never hear the reason he doesn't do it. Hey, Danielle. Hey, Allie. Really, Remy? Essay, yeah, I'm not about shaming anybody because we all have past and we've all made mistakes and we've all done things that we're like, oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have handled things different. The only difference is ours isn't publicized to the entire world. And, and I think the FBI stepped up to say a brief statement about chill out or something. They told CNN that people needed to leave her alone and stuff. Well, dude, you kind of did, so just chill. Everybody just chill. So that Papa Rogers, right? I think pretty much, hey, Charles, this is my local, y'all. Was able to tell me a lot of stuff about just where the older, more sophisticated people hang out. Oh, you're right. I didn't even think about that, Ava. I didn't even think about the visual. He wanted to be an Army Ranger. Okay. And so don't you have to be in fairly decent shape before you can enter some? And I'm being serious. We know he had weight issues. He lost all the weight, or he lost a lot of the weight. Don't you have to be in kind of a decent shape to enter? There's a lot about his childhood that we really don't know. According to daughter, you can buy them military. Really? Okay, A. Charles, yes, keep me posted. So A. Charles told me last night when we were talking back and forth in my comments, you guys got to listen. Sometimes you got to catch people. Locals know what they're talking about. He knew before it was announced, because it was announced locally, that they were looking for the car. But he said he commented, not in here, but in a different chat, and no one would listen to him. So I just feel like when locals come in, they probably know more than we do. Oh, I do too, Salem. I do too. That feeling when we first got that affidavit last week and we found out, Dylan had to have an encounter with him and all this stuff. It is a very much a just, sick feeling in your stomach. Oh, okay, Savannah. Wow. So do you think he left the sheath on purpose? I do like what this FBI psychiatrist said. When you're in a rage like that, because this is a rage killing and it's so personal, his mind probably got careless to what he was doing. But I still feel like he might have done it on purpose. Oh, wow, essay. Punkette, you're so funny. Thank you, Punkette. It is wonderful to get a local perspective because they're living it, right? They're living with this stuff. I think it's fascinating. I was talking to another local. She still has a house there. She said that she rents a house out, or she has a house with no renters or anything right now, but that she's getting nonstop people wanting to rent because the media and stuff has literally just filled up the hotels. And yeah, it just helps you understand, okay, if the Cougar wouldn't have really been a spot, Bryan, I mean, he almost would have, the Cougar would have been a place where he almost would have been laughed at, kind of, you know, if you think about like it'd be like my 40-year-old self walking in like this, walking into some like 20-year-old nightclub or something. Like it just, you know, his ego wasn't going to let him be anywhere that he wasn't the best. I can't decide on the sheets. I still think, for whatever reason, Xana was one of the targets and Maddie might have been the other target. Cheryl. I think a big question too would be, did Kaylee post anywhere on social media that she was coming back in town to show off her Range Rover? Because if she didn't, then he may have been surprised she was even there. You need the cryptid perspective. And I'm still trying to figure out why that date. But I figured it was that date because of Kaylee. He knew her time was. Somebody also said that the neighbor, who's the neighbor? Now, I don't know if I believe this because this isn't the same neighbor dude that lied about something already. What's his name? Enon, or starts with an I. Said that he's friends with the guy that lives below, Bryan or something. Oh, Ave. Oh, you're right. That pic of all of them was that was posted that day, wasn't it? So he knew they were all going to be together. Ava, you know a lot about this case. Wow. Well, there you have it. For him, it might have just escalated to a point and they were all there and he knew they were all together. That's freaking sick. He's just. And that's the other thing. When I look around at the apartments that are around there and stuff, and all the people at WSU, the fact that there's a giant sorority down the road from him, well, everywhere near him because it's a college. Enon Harsh, thank you. He had to have, I mean, he could have picked anybody. So one of them made him, I don't know. So I've tried to figure out, does he have friends over near there that he hung out with? People, you know, then I thought, okay, was it drug thing? Like, had he met them that way? But people said he had stopped using. Yeah, for sure, Remy. It's just mind-blowing to me that in that moment, within that span of when he might have met them. I know, Beatlemaniac. I'm going to have an open panel next live for anybody, creators and everything, too. I want to get as many people as possible because we all got to throw around scenarios. Yeah, Jane, I don't know. Agree, Cheryl. I think you guys are right. I'm glad Ava said that because I think now, knowing that picture was together, he saw them all together and this was his chance. He might not have necessarily known Ethan was going to be there, but he knew at least the girls were going to end up there that night. And so did he drive by several times just to make sure? For one, he probably didn't know who the Range Rover was. Yeah, Ava, I do think the DoorDash was a bit of a surprise to him. And I think his timing kept getting pushed back a little bit, and that was like, you know, freaked him out a little bit. And the DoorDash is interesting because it's not on Ethan's Venmo, so I don't necessarily know. That's the thing, Jane. I don't know who called. Well, it had to have been Xana because, well, I guess not. Because the bag clearly says Xana on it. But it doesn't mean that he didn't say it was for Xana or something. And why call DoorDash? Doesn't make sense. Maybe that's why he kept driving. Yeah, so it's the one where, hold on a second. Yep. So let me send myself a couple of pictures. You know the original, the big photo that kept like, hold on one second. That was first. What am I doing? You're right. Oh, pointer lover, you're right. Good call. Let me send you. Here, oh, I can just Google it right here. Duh. Wait, what? Wait. What is this news here coming from Newsweek? Clue found at Idaho murder scene sparks questions about possible target. A new clue about the Idaho murders could point to a possible target in the crimes in which Bryan Kohberger is charged. Okay, what are they? Well, duh. I said that from the beginning. You didn't need to tell us that. Okay, so Newsweek says Kenneth Maines, a nationally renowned cold case expert and retired detective, told Newsweek that, in his opinion, either one or both of those victims found where the sheath was located were the intended targets. I already said that, Kenneth. All right, I'm sorry, going back to. I believe it was laid on the right side of Maddie on purpose. If he. Where is that picture? Oh, here it is. Then I want to. That's possible too. So oh, I know, Salem. So the one thing that who just said that had a good point, that he'd have to use his credit card so people would, because I think that's what made everybody like say, no, that's not possible. It's this one. So they posted that day towards, I think it was late afternoon before they all, or at some point that day, they posted this. Now, where they are at this location is across from their house, because somebody they know lives in this set of apartments, because there's a lot of TikToks that they did from this location here. But you guys are totally right. I mean, he knew this was his, look at, they're all together. This is your opportunity. I don't necessarily think he knew Ethan was going to be there, but I think he was willing to take the chance. Possibly, Jane. So the DoorDash or the Range Rover was clarified by her parents. It actually wasn't as expensive. Like, it was in the low 20s because it was old. Somehow it was in the low 20s. And so she put a pretty high down payment on it from working and stuff. And then, obviously took out a loan for the rest. So unfortunately, I think it was one that, probably would have broke down easier because Range Rovers probably don't have that big of a lifespan. Oh, I wanted to watch Alex's video. If you have not watched Alex's channel, which we all have, I would think so. Because she's talking about somebody that is in jail alleging this. This is not Alex. She's like literally saying what somebody in jail is saying.
Hey guys, so Bryan Kohberger, the Idaho murder suspect, actually spoke about the 4 University of Idaho students and what happened to them. A law enforcement source spoke with People magazine about some of the things that he said during his extradition. Let me show you. He seemed really nervous. A police source who was involved in the process tells People. He was narrating to himself everything that was happening. At one point, he was saying something to himself like, "I'm fine. This is okay." Like he was reassuring himself that the whole thing wasn't awful. says Koberger was read his Miranda rights during his arrest and cannot be questioned about the case without an attorney present. He didn't speak directly to officers about the case, but the police source says that he did make an offhand comment about it. He did say, "It's really sad what happened to them." That's a quote. "It's really sad what happened to them." But he didn't say anything more. The source says he's smarter than that. I don't know how smart he is, considering he left behind the sheath and drove his vehicle there and drove it numerous times there before when he was stalking whoever he was stalking. He had been by the house over a dozen times. He was actually at the house the night before classes started. That's when he got the seatbelt ticket. Okay, you tell me how you're in college and, first day of classes is a big deal. It's a super big deal for someone who is the teacher's assistant. So instead of being at home at 11:30 at night getting ready for your first day, you're out stalking these girls.
You know what? Remy, yes. No, so why can't I get my mouse to work? My daughter's computer thing is so. Okay, sorry. So I thought that too. No, at the police stop, he's referring to the whatever shooting happened at WSU. So I just realized, so the police source that won't say their name that told this to people, like, yes. Right. Could he be fired if he, I guess he could, but I can guarantee you People magazine probably paid him some money too. But I wouldn't put it past Bryan to say some of that. I do think he is smart. He might be stupid in some ways, but I think he's smart. And my question is this all exactly, Ava, before he invoked his rights? Is this all part? Wait, Ava, I see what you're saying. So wait, before they read him, that's true, Ava. PA is not under a gag order. And I remember asking that. I remember calling somebody saying they called the prison of somebody, and the prison told them what they were in jail for, and they can do that because they're not under any gag order or something. But this different case. But if he said that before they read him the Miranda rights, that's because they can't use that then, right? Against him. Wow. Wow. I didn't think about that. Oh, he read his, just not after. Okay. Okay, Ava. But so when I titled this live of, is this a game of chess? Because to be quite honest, does he even care that he was arrested? Or is this just part of his game? Because Bundy was arrested. Bundy escaped twice. And it was a game to how many killers have been arrested. And they're like, I had heard that, Remy. I think that I don't think he'll get away with it, because I think that the FBI and police are dotting their I's and crossing their T. But I think that in his mind, he thinks he will. I think that he thinks he's a step ahead of them. Totally, Remy. I said, do you guys know that he was the only criminal in a cell with the glass windows around him and stuff? For me, it was like, he's not escaping that then. Oh, really, Allie? I do think the biggest bombshells are yet to come. And I think that they probably did find some things at his apartment. But I'm telling you, this guy hid that murder weapon and whatever items he had with him somewhere really good. And that's why I just don't see that he would leave behind that knife sheath. I just don't. Yeah, please, Allie, do. He did, Cheryl. He led investigators to a lot of his clues just by that Papa Rogers, which I think we can pretty much assume is him or somebody he knows or whatever. But I think he did it on purpose. This is a freaking sick, twisted game he's playing. Oh yeah, I imagine some of the things on his computer are, but it's like he's given them enough where they can suspect him and bring the charges, but is it enough to convict him? I think it will be. I think they will end up having enough. But I think in his mind, he thinks I'm gonna get away with this. Because that's how a narcissistic mind like his works. Oh yeah, for sure, Remy. I think he thought he was better than his teacher. What made him choose Washington State University? I don't know. Maybe it was just a really good criminal. I don't know. But I still think if he was as infatuated. Okay, thanks, Allie. I'll look at it first. If he was as infatuated with Ted Bundy as some of his classmates have said, we know that Ted Bundy was from Seattle. I think he was fascinated with. Oh, for sure, Remy. I think he was fascinated with, and like this forensic psychiatrist said, I think he was fascinated with serial killers in general, but not just a serial killer. Oh my gosh, Allie, but famous serial killers. And he had to put his own spin on everything. And I think that's exactly why, when we know Ted Bundy's last words were, "Tell my family I love him," why he walked in court and looked at no one but his family and mouthed, "I love you." I think he does those things. I just really do. I think he says things and does things, and he thinks he is going to get away with this. But I do not think that the FBI or the police would have made any move if they didn't have some serious bombshells that are beyond just this knife sheath. Sometimes I think Kaylee's dad, so I think sometimes what happens with Kaylee's dad is he will say things, and because, if it was my kid, I do the same thing. Like, you're just saying things, not realizing that the way the internet works, and then like later they'll retract it. Like, somebody will have to come behind and retract what he said, like by saying there's no connection, just because people run with it. So, I totally think, Cheryl, I totally think he tried to one up Bundy and one up many of them. I know, I sock it. Now, so Bundy left 2 survivors in Florida in that sorority. Bundy also then traveled across the country back to Washington. Yes, they said the killer did a sloppy job, but never elaborated on that. It didn't hit me till just now. Why did he talk to Xana? Why? If he did, I don't believe it was Ethan that talked, because I think if Ethan had any sort of like he was awake and cognitive, he would have fought back hard. And I don't think that there was enough time that would lead us to believe that Ethan fought back. Remy, Bundy said, "I can't wait to get back. Take me right now to court. I can't wait to get back because I'm not guilty." And what did Bryan say? He told his lawyer to say that he can't wait to get back. So he was waiving his extradition or he was going to willingly go to his extradition so that he can't, because he could not wait to be exonerated from the charges. I think Xana fought him for sure. And the way people describe her, she was athletic, she was a spitfire. I think that she fought him the most. And it is really, that's the worst part of this all, was that it breaks my heart to think that she was still alive. I don't necessarily know that she would have survived. I think he finished her off, that last thud that we hear. But I think she fought. I think she knew. And I don't know. The hardest part for me is to figure out the timing with the DoorDash and everything. Exactly, Remy. Either he's really this way or something, or he's acting. It's really hard to tell. And he's got a mom and two sisters who, I gotta say, have similar appearances to those girls. I mean, they have, obviously they're not twins or anything like that, but there are, I don't know. There's something. There's some reason they were his perfect finishing twist to this sick thing he had in his mind. And I think that's why he took the study one, when he did the research thing and keep in mind, Bundy was on the research panel at Seattle University. Bundy and Bryan both have psychology degrees. Bundy went on to represent himself. Bryan hasn't, but I think that Bryan calls a lot of the shots. Steve said, what, Pointer Lover? I think I missed what you wrote. Oh, he definitely wanted to be, and he's still famous. And the hard part is everybody's like, well, if you're talking about it, you're giving him what he wants. I understand that, but we are a true crime channel, so I do kind of want to try to figure out what makes his brain tick. And if I can find a timeline out and figure out, I'm going to do it. Very true, S. Hockett. That's a very good point. And look, what was everyone going to do if he did something like this to sorority girls? They were going, the world was going to, the country would flip out just because that's exactly what Ted Bundy did. And why didn't he actually do it within a sorority house? Probably because he couldn't overtake a sorority house, it was bold enough for him to attempt what he did. And how did he know they weren't going to fight? It's just crazy. But that's the thing with his mind. He didn't care if they fought back and he got arrested. So what? I still don't think Kaylee was the target. I don't know. Maybe she was. I don't know. There's something with Xana that always brings me back to her. And I don't know if it's because she had the most defensive wounds or what, but there's just something. I do think Ethan was collateral damage, unfortunately. I do think Maddie, if he really did, and I'm right, or we're right, or whoever else, he left that sheath on purpose, then I would say Maddie was probably definitely a target. I think one important thing would be, when did the girls go back to work at the Mad Greek would be the other thing I'd like to know. Sure, go ahead. Shoot, Allie. I feel bad for his dad, though. His dad's just sitting there talking to the cop like, oh, there's a shooting and all this, just rambling on and on and on. Yep, tomorrow's court. They said it was going to be a lot of scheduling, but I do think they're going to talk about the prelim. All right, I will answer Allie's question, and then I got to go. Because the state requires me to put the children to bed. Oh, I don't know, Allie. I don't know. Maybe because she actually had an encounter with him and Bethany was just asleep downstairs, maybe. I don't know. Exactly, exactly, S Hockey. And like when I would see some of these like some of their TikTok videos just being 21-year-old kids and stuff, but they were like very drunk. And I forget, like when you're super drunk, you're just trying to figure out, like, make the room stop spinning, much less defend yourself like you're actually. I think that he was probably laying down and just probably like, what, and everything just happened so fast. Yeah, I haven't seen any legal document. That's crazy. Yeah, I think I would say that too, Beatlemaniac, maybe because she was an actual eyewitness. Exactly, S Socket, much less like by the time you actually, and I don't necessarily think the light was on because everything, right, Sam, everything that I've seen their videos for the most part, they have a lot of Christmas lights inside up, and I think they use that mainly as the lighting. So they would have had lights, but as far as like the bedroom lights, I don't necessarily think the bedroom lights. So then if you factor in like it being at least dark in the bedroom, she's like, somebody's here. I could picture him just being like, okay, thanks, Allie. Probably just like, what in the world is going on? And then it's too late. Well, when Allie emails it to me, I think Kate might go live. So I'll have her show them if once I see what they are and stuff. But all right, y'all. Well, I gotta hop off of here and go. Me neither, Salem. Put the kids to bed, and then I'll catch up with you guys. Thanks for stopping in. I'm going to try to see if I can get a couple locals to come on just to talk. I want to know the area. S. Hockett, I know. I've got to look into that. I just want to know the area more and stuff. And not from like Nancy Grace and stuff, like people that actually live there. All right, y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Good night, guys.